What's up, guys? Welcome to Valley Vibes. Today I got a special guest. Rich, how long have we known each other, bro?
Oh, man, that's a good question.
Been a while. I looked back at our old podcast, the last one we did, which seemed like we were on there for hours, dude. It was October 17th, 2019.
2019.
Yeah.
Hey, before COVID.
Like that, dude.
You know, it's funny. I just recently grabbed that link to share it.
Yeah, it's an interesting thing how fast time passes. But introduce yourself. You are an author and a speaker, so please introduce yourself to the audience.
Yeah, so I'm Rich. I'm an author and a speaker.
You go way deeper than that, man.
So most of what I've done is I've written a financial book for adults, and I recently have started writing children's books that teach kids how to, be better with their money, or actually show them how to be better with their money, because our parents didn't teach us, their parents didn't teach them, so someone needs to teach the kids, and I guess I'm the unofficial one to do it.
Yeah.
But, so other than that, I do public speaking at several different schools, and right now I'm trying to get my own TEDx talk. So
nice. How's that going?
I just started, so I'll let you know. I'll be on the next podcast.
Awesome, cool. Now, the reason I wanted to ask you on is specifically about that. Like, money's such a taboo thing. Like, nobody really likes to talk about it, and when you start talking about it, people get uncomfortable. What is it about it that makes it so taboo?
That's a very good question, because even like back in the old times, like Babylon days and Roman days, Bible times, like money has always been around. Like, it's always been something that people need, people are looking for, people are trying to get, people are working for it. Like, there's never been a time, people say like, oh, but there was the bartering system, but bartering didn't work that way, because if, your neighbor had eggs and you had, bread, but neither one of you needed those, you'd have to go. So it's a whole mess with the bartering system. So there had to be an exchange of currency. Besides that, there's always been gold and silver, and it's always been precious metals, right? So the fact that nobody wants to talk about it is kind of weird to me. And I do bring that up a lot, because it's our everyday life. Like, without it, things crumble.
Well, that's interesting, because we live in America, which is one of the most capitalistic nations literally in the world. And most people don't like to talk about money. There seems like there's a disconnect there.
Oh, big time. Yeah. And I think that's the problem, because 95% of people are in debt, poor, poverty, low, below income, even middle classes, struggling with money. And I think that might be it, mainly because I just recently saw this TikTok that said money is a cruel mistress. If you stop paying attention to it, it'll flee. And I've heard that before, and now it's kind of seems to be repeating. So that might just be it. People are ashamed of it, trying to hide it. And then there's this whole, like, don't love money and don't pay attention to it and don't seek after it. And so because of that, like, I think that may be, you're not going to pay attention to it, then why should it pay attention to you?
Yeah. Has your mind shifted towards more money conscious? Because I know when we talk back in the day, it's always been money conscious, right? You've always had it on your mind. But has your opinions about like where we are in America, as far as like the rates dropping and the economic situations and the elections coming up. Has your mind shifted with money? Are you holding on to cash? Are you buying gold? Are you buying silver? Are you buying Bitcoin? What do your investments look like?
That's a good question. So for me, it doesn't matter the economy. I mean, you can go up, down, sideways, or in circles. It doesn't matter to me. Obviously, I do have my preferences on who I would believe want to be president, but in the end, it doesn't matter who's president. It doesn't matter how the economy is, because there's always two guaranteed certainties. One, the economy, everybody always wants the economy to go up. Everybody wants, you know, um, for us to have a better economy. So every business in America is always trying to get more money and create that, um, that profit gap.
Mm-hmm.
So everyone's always going to try to be improving. So I don't worry about the market like taking an automatic crash. Obviously, it'll happen, but everybody wants the economy to thrive. So everybody, it doesn't matter if you're liberal, Democrat, doesn't matter. We want businesses to thrive. But then goes to that, like I don't like saying it, but people are always like, "Oh, cash is king. Cash is king." Cash isn't king. Cash flow is king. But paper money is, I mean, it's not worth the paper it's printed on.
Yeah, I heard recently that it costs 3 cents to make a penny. Like, yeah. Like that's kind of mind-boggling.
No, it totally is. As a matter of fact, I think the nickel is the only one that's actually worth something.
Huh, interesting.
I think I read that somewhere where I think it was Ray Dalio that said it actually, that the nickel, I think it's like a couple of cents to make a nickel. But it has nickel printed on it. It is made of nickel, so it's probably one of the most ones that are worth a lot more.
Yeah.
So when it comes to investing, I always keep that in mind. One, I don't keep any money in the bank. I put the money, pay the bills, and then that's it. I pretty much pay everything with a credit card, because I don't trust the banking system. I rather have my money in, stocks and bonds and that, because, well, one, I'm just 40. I still got 20, 30 years before I can, do anything, right?
Yeah.
So the market will always go up.
Yeah, I think it's interesting because right now, like some stocks have like hit all-time highs, and it's amazing to see it happen. And we were talking about options trading. You were talking about futures. I've never been more into the stock market now that I've been option trading for about the past 6 months. Just fair warning, I'm not good at it at all. Right? So not yet.
You have, oh man, I stopped.
It's interesting because I that is a life hack. Like those are life hacks where you can pull money out of the market, like literally every single day that it's open. Like I don't think people really understand that. Can you kind of touch on that?
Oh my God, I love it, because as a matter of fact, I should turn off this screen because I'm just paying attention to my. I'm like, can I get in the trade right now? It's so amazing. Before that, on your previous question, I wanted to add something. People were scared in the 1920s. People were scared in the 50s. People were scared in the 70s. People were scared in the 80s. People were scared in 2000 dot-com burst. Like, people have always been scared of the market just like completely collapsing, but it's always going to get better. So with inflation comes better prosperity also. I mean, the dollar's been going up since the day of age. Like, there's nothing we can do. All we have to do is work toward. And that's what I love about the whole capitalist system and entrepreneurs. It's like, it doesn't matter what's going on outside of my backyard. I'm going to do what I can to further myself, to better myself, to improve myself, to make more money. Like, that's all that's going on versus, oh, can I tell my boss to give me a raise? Anyways, that's my rant from that one. But I was just talking to my wife about it, and I'm showing my little one. He has his own little portfolio, and it's all companies that he knows. So he has Disney, Tesla, Harley Davidson, TJ Maxx, because his aunt works there. So he knows all these companies, and all I tell him is like, look at the two lines. There's the blue line, which is 100 EMA, 100 moving average, and then the 200. When it hits that blue line from the top, we're gonna buy. So I had a Robinhood account. I took all took out all my money except $150, and I moved it over to TOS, now Charles Schwab, to trade, right? And so that gave him my Robinhood account. So there he is. Like, I think he bought Tesla a couple of days ago, and his little portfolio. So, and then we have that little Robinhood card.
Yeah.
So whatever money he makes on it, he uses that. He uses that to buy and whatever he wants. Like, okay, you made $5, go buy something.
Yeah.
You lost $2. All right, well, let's make another trade.
What's his mentality of knowing about money and like the stock market? Like, because he's young.
He's
what is his mentality of it? I think it's like growing up with it is kind of one thing if you're taught it like by your parents, right? But not knowing anything about it is like you just don't know anything about it. But what is his mentality knowing about it?
It's so crazy to me because it's all normal to him. It's all normal to him, and that's what was awesome. Because if he right now at 7 is like understanding, like, oh, okay, I can buy here and I can sell here and make. Can you imagine by the time he's 18, like he has, it's 10,000 hours of work to become an expert. From 7 years old to like 18, that's already 10 years. I've been teaching since he was 5. So like what you said, he can print his own money whenever, however, it doesn't matter,
Yeah.
So
that's a powerful life hack.
Totally, because like this morning, you go in there, make a simple trade, even if it's $50, $100, $200, like even $50 a day, like it's an extra $1,000 a month. So for him, it's so normal. Like, oh yeah, I'm an author. Oh yeah, I go speak on stage. Oh yeah, we go on cross country road trips. Oh yeah, like I trade the stock market. And it's so funny because he's homeschooled that when he goes talks to his cousins his age, he's like asking them like, hey, do you know how to play chess? Oh, do you know about the stock market? And they're like, what?
Yeah.
But for him, it's normal.
Yeah, that's an interesting thing because I was reading obviously the Trading in the Zone. Like it's one of the main books that you got to read as a trader. And in no way am I saying I'm a trader because I'm horrible at it. Right, I'm just laying it out there so far. But I'm putting in the work to be able to learn the skill because I see it's such a valuable skill. Like one of my mentors, when I went to Miami a few months ago, I witnessed him make 28K in an hour. And then the other day he made 12K in 2.5 hours. I was like, it's possible. Yeah. Like those things you have to see for yourself. And it becomes possible because if you just, like, I could have already given up because I'm probably like 90% down on my portfolio, but I see like this is the tuition that I'm paying to be able to learn this high valued skill, man. Like,
oh yeah,
I'm gonna touch on that.
So same thing. I sometimes I still pay for that tuition, but every time I have these big losses, it's like, all right, like what did I do wrong? And with everything that happened, I'm like stressed out. I'm like, I can't believe I lost all this, but I always learn something from it. And so I develop on that skill. That's why they usually say start with paper trading.
Yeah.
But it doesn't feel like paper trading, you're like, nah, whatever.
Yeah, it's over there. You need to lose your own money in order to get that pain.
Yeah, I think you need some skin in the game because you won't try to learn as fast as you can, right? But that's exactly what it is. I think the same way, and I've been thinking the same way. I've lost my good fair share of money, but just learning that, like we just said, like you can print money if the market's going up or down. Like it doesn't matter.
Yeah,
and it's just, I think it's an incredibly valuable skill.
Yeah, 100%. So explain to me what the difference between options trading and futures trading is.
Not much. Okay. So in options trading, you buy for a share, like let's say AMD or Tesla, you buy one contract and that contract is worth 100 shares, pretty much, right? The only thing is that you have your Greeks going against you. For those of you that don't know, there's this time decay. The longer you have an option, the less it's worth, and it kind of does this toward the end. Hope people that trade options know what I'm talking about, but gets a little intricate and a little complicated. But pretty much the longer you have an option, or the longer it is, like let's say you buy an option that expires, actually today's Friday, next Friday. The closer it gets to that Friday and you're not in the money, like you're still losing money. So it's this weird thing, and I hate options trading because let's say I buy a contract, a call for Tesla at 127 or whatever, and it goes to 120, 130. I'm making money, but if it comes back down to 120, I'm like, now I'm the negatives. So it's not going to go, if it even tries to go back to 130, I'll probably still be in the negative. Like, that's what I absolutely hate about options.
Hmm.
Contracts work different. Contracts are in single expiration dates, and there's no theta. Like, you can hold them overnight. There's no theta, no time decay. Once it's positive, you're good. Like, and it just happens so much quicker.
And the futures is open, what, 24 hours, right?
Yeah.
Yeah.
So
you lose money 24 hours a day.
pretty much, except Saturdays and Sundays. Well, so Sundays. So with that, like, it's more of a day kind of thing. People do hold them overnight, but you're talking about what's crazy with futures is, like, if you trade the NASDAQ, like 1 point for one contract, that's $20, and it moves like 10 points at a time.
Yeah.
So, I mean, those 20 times 10, that's $200, and it literally happens like within a minute.
Yeah. That's scary, dude, because I've witnessed big candles and the big candles to the downside. I was like, oh man, this is you start your day on a high stress level. As soon as the market opens at 8:30, you're like, bam, heart's pounding because you're playing.
Oh yeah, you start getting sweating and
yeah, it's definitely not for everybody. I heard like 95% of traders fail, like all time. It's a pretty staggering number.
I think it's because a lot of them, and I'm guilty of it, like, we want to make that fast money faster and try to go for those big long runs. I've been wanting a big long run for like ever, because there's been trades like I'll go in and I'll make like $100, but I'm like, then I see just keep going.
Yeah.
And at the end of the day, I'm like, I can't believe it went up that. I'll make the calculations, and in one day I could have made like $5,000, and I'm like, everybody wants runs. But I've noticed that every time I try to get those long runs, I lose big time.
Yeah, it's interesting. It's an interesting thing that I stumbled upon in my 40s. But let's go back to what's your favorite strategy to trade?
Momentum. I like trading momentum because you see it, especially on the 1 minute, and it's candle patterns. One of my mentors, his name is Jeremy Newsom. He has like a crap load of free courses online. They're free, and he's an absolutely great teacher. One of the things he said is that if you can read candles are like the language of money, because you can see when people are scared, when people are greedy. Like, one candle will show you a lot when people are indecisive. So for me, it's momentum. Like, when you see that rise, it's going to continue just for at least another couple of seconds or a couple of minutes, or maybe an hour, depending on what time frame you're on, right? So it's more volume and momentum.
Gotcha. Let's switch it over back to the whole money issue of I would say the Rio Grande Valley, because the Rio Grande Valley, 40% of people in the Rio Grande Valley live in poverty. Like that's a shitload of people, dude. Like, if there's 1.2 million people, 40% of that are living in poverty. What is it like about the psychology of spending that people just don't really understand? Like, some people, they make their check and they blow it on stuff that they don't necessarily need, or they're buying stuff that they don't need, and they're not putting it away. How do you look at that, and how do you talk to people that come to you like, hey, what should I invest in? What should I use my money for? I have a little bit left. What should I do with it?
For those, it's one, pay off debt. I'm not a fan of Dave Ramsey's at all. There's so many things I don't agree with Dave Ramsey's. I do agree that you need to pay off your debt, because once you're paid off all the bad debt, then you can look into getting good debt, or looking into investing in certain index funds and stuff like that. It just all depends. I think the greatest thing that I've been told from the same mentor, Jeremy Newsom, he said, invest in what you love and what you know. A lot of people are like, oh, Doge, I don't know anything about it, but everybody's buying it, let me buy. But when you invest in something that, like I love Harley Davidsons. I have a Harley's, Tesla. Like if I invest, it's kind of like rooting for that. I don't know anything about sports, by the way. So if I say a team and people get upset, I'm sorry. I don't know anything about sports. It's like rooting for your favorite, like rooting for the Cowboys and they keep losing, but every time they go play, you keep rooting for them. It's kind of one
Yeah.
of those things.
It's a toxic relationship right there, man.
Exactly. So first thing is get out of debt. And I think the mentality is twofold. One, we're so scared of losing money that we hold on to it tightly. And that is a huge problem because it's not necessarily our culture. I mean, I've lived here most of my life. I was born, in Richland, Washington, but I've grown up here long enough. Plus, my parents are from here, so it's their mentality is always the same. Like you got to be grasping onto whatever little you have. My wife's parents, same thing. Like you can't let it go. But most of the time, like how are you gonna, receive anything when your hand is so tightly closed on the quarter?
Yeah.
So it's one of those things that we need to escape as well, because it's just spending. Like I think we want to spend because like we're trying to hoard stuff for ourselves.
Mm-hmm.
I buy all sorts of technology stuff, but
But you buy it for the reason that it's possibly going to make you more money. I'm not talking about like maybe like stuff that people don't need, like a flashy vehicle. And I'm not saying anything about flashy vehicles like in a bad way, because I have shifted my mind recently about like sports cars and Lamborghinis and stuff like that, because I feel like this is the only time in my life that will ever get to experience that.
right.
So if I do make enough money, I probably will in the future buy a badass vehicle or something that that I will hold on to value, like a Rolex or something like that. I think those things are different, right, than just splurging on stuff that is absolutely unnecessary.
I noticed that a lot of people buy just to buy, because you're right. I bought a camera that I soon regretted. I bought it so I can, use it to make money, and then all of a sudden I regret it. I'm like, oh crap, this is an expensive ass camera. So I'm like, how do I make money off of it? And it's one of those like, oh my god. But you're right, because a lot of people do buy frivolous things that don't mean anything, and it's like I said, I think it's just hoarding. Like people just want to and that's why people don't like investing into the stock market, because they're putting in money with nothing in return.
Yeah. And
Like,
you famously talk about dollar cost averaging. I want to touch on that because years ago when I got into Bitcoin, I just so happened to dollar cost average on accident. I was like, it was getting to the peak, right? And I missed the sell and it just started crashing. He was like, you know what? I need to invest in something at this point. And I don't know anything about real estate. I didn't know anything about gold or silver. I didn't even know where to buy it at the time, right? But I was like, Bitcoin, I kind of understand. I know a little bit about it. And then if I start putting money into it weekly, then it'll force me to kind of learn about this thing. And I've been on a journey for about the past 5 years. So dollar cost averaging is an amazing tool. Kind of touch on that because I think it's one of the most powerful things.
it's pretty much getting the average. So things are going to go up and down. Let's say eggs, for example. Let's say you buy them at the beginning of the month, they're $3. At the end of the month, they're $7. But all from that point to the end of the month, it's going to be going, what's $5, and it goes down to $2, and it goes up. So it's pretty much getting the average. So let's say Bitcoin, for example, it's going up, and you buy and you buy. Every time you buy, it's going to start averaging down. So that's especially important when it's coming back down, because as it's coming down and you buy here and it keeps going down, this is where you started, and then you buy here, then your average is going to go straight to the middle. So as you're buying down, your average is going to start coming down as well. Once it goes up, then you're going to be in this positive.
Yeah, so kind of touch on the compounded interest or the compound part of it that happens over time.
So compound interest is I guess Albert Einstein said it is the most wondrous thing in the world, and if you don't understand it, it's going to have you. But it's pretty much as time goes on, your money is going to grow with it. And everybody's heard, like, if you have a penny, if you double a penny every day, at the end of the month, you have like what, $3.2 million or something like that, 1.3, something like that. Because there's this snowball effect. I guess that's the best way of putting it. Compound interest is a snowball effect. You start small, but little by little, your money is going to start kind of working on itself. And that's the same thing as dollar cost averaging. Well, not the same thing, but same principle.
Yeah.
It's going down and it's coming back up. There's going to be that turn where your money is now making a lot more. Because if you just bought here, it crashed, and you waited for it to go, I mean, it's going to take a lot longer.
Yeah.
To get over your threshold versus if you kept buying and it kept going down. Once it goes back up, you're going to be well into profit.
Yeah, it takes so long to get that percentage back up. Like, it dropped down that much, it has to work so much harder to go back up.
Exactly. I think Ray Dalio said if you lose 50%, it's going to take you 100% just to get back to you.
Yeah, that's crazy. Yeah, I was thinking about Bitcoin when we last talked in October 17th, 2019, when we had our last podcast, and it was at $8,000.
Oh my God. Are you kidding
me? Yeah. So I come from the world, like, I like to take risks, right? And me and my partner here at the studio, we bought digital land for about 14 grand, and we bought a bunch of NFTs, and we invested in a bunch of digital stuff. And all of that is probably worth about $200 now.
Oh my God.
Which, in retrospect, we should have just been investing in Bitcoin, period. That's it. So I think these are like the hard truths.
I blame Gary Vaynerchuk for that one.
Yeah. I think that these are like the hard truths that nobody really ever talks about. Like, you're gonna lose money, but it's part of the process of, like, learning. That's
it is. It's funny you should say that, because I was talking to my friend yesterday and I sent him a link. I'm like, hey, because he's been trying to, start a business or do something to make more money. And I'm like, hey, I sent him a link. Like, hey, this is a cool business idea for you. And he's like, no, are you a scam? Are you trying to scam me? Like, joking around. Pretty much like, that was a scam. I'm like, dude, if I lived my life thinking everything is a scam, I'd still be earning $1,000 a month working at the school. Like, you are more probably going to get scammed along the way. Be as smart as you can not to get scammed, but you can't go your whole life believing everyone's trying to scam you, because you'll never get anywhere.
Yeah, it's hard, man, because especially with like the internet now, I think, and then the advent of AI, I believe Facebook got rid of about 20,000 employees 2 or 3 years ago, and they replaced a lot of them with AI. And if you run any business manager or advertising, you know that all these bots are spamming the pages like every single day. And I get calls from clients all the time. It's like, hey, is this real? Is this? I was like, don't click on anything, man.
Don't click on anything.
Don't click anything.
It's a sad reality, but I got scammed, and it was, you feel like a complete idiot when it happens. And I got scammed in the most dumbest of ways, and I'm like, oh my God, I should have known,
Yeah, I've been scammed too before, and it's like we're in the world, so if we're getting scammed, like, regular people are going to get scammed. That's because we kind of know what to look for.
Exactly.
And just still goes under the radar, man.
Right. Well, here's my only thing. My only gripe with scammers is they work so hard on these elaborate scams that if they put that time and energy in something legit, they literally make money.
That is true. I just feel like, there's always people that are on both sides of the fence.
Start cold calling to make some sales. Like, why are you scamming people?
Let's talk about the fear, because we kind of talked about that, the fear of money. I think a lot of people fear what they do not know, and a lot of people are like, well, I don't want to make money because it's going to change me. I was like, you haven't even tried it. Like kind of talk about the fear of money, because I feel like that's the root of everything. Like, that's the root of everybody's fears. Like, in psychology and in human nature, fear is what compels people to end up taking the decision or not. Kind of touch.
That was me, because that's the way I grew up, and I'm pretty sure my parents grew up that way. My dad does come from a line of entrepreneurs, which is kind of weird, but my mom's voice is louder because fear feeds on fear. So it's one of those things that's the way we grew up. we're scared to lose whatever we have. We have this idea that, oh, we work so hard for it, I can't lose it, but then we're here spending it on dumb things. So for me, it's trying to remember, like, dude, like, what the hell else are you gonna do? You know, like, you're not gonna die, especially here in the U.S. Like, you can go bankrupt and still bounce back. Like, I
Yeah,
think
many times.
Donald Trump would bankrupt like 7 times, and I'm pretty sure his credit is okay right now. So it's probably a horrible example because people are like, no,
but it's true.
but it's true. He
Yeah.
was bankrupt. Um, we gotta like realize that fear isn't, going anywhere. And you can either do it 2 different ways. One, you can not live in fear. You can live a comfortable life. You can, go to your crappy job, be pissed every Monday, and just live like that till you're 65 and just live your pissed offness, after 65. Or two, just take those risks. Like, it, what's the worst that can happen? You lose some money, well, then, cut some grasses and make that money back. I invested in publishing my book. I invested $5,000 to learn how to publish my book. And that was scary. Like 5,000 back then was like so much. And my wife's crazier than I am. So she's like, just do it. Well, now I have the knowledge, and I've actually made 7 different authors now. Like 2 of my friends are authors, my sister's an author, my son's an author. Like, I've made authors with that knowledge that I got.
Yeah.
I'm having to pay for a mentor to get me on a TEDx stage, but after I go through it, I'll be able to do it again and replicate it. So if at the very worst, I lose the 5,000 or I lose 10,000 or whatever, like, that's it. Like, life keeps going. Like, it just goes back to work.
You have to wake up and do the things that you need to do.
It's absolutely going to suck, and it's going to hurt for months on end. But it's like, oh, what if Kamala becomes president? Or what if like this happens? Or what if, do I need to pay my rent on the first of the month? Probably. Yeah. Do I need to pay my light? Probably. Nothing is going to change.
Yeah.
You don't set me up unless I'm like, rent's not due tomorrow ever again. Like,
what is it? The basic world. What they give everybody money? What is it called? The basic world income, or I forget what it's called, but
economic fund, or I don't know.
Something, I don't know. But you touched on something very interesting about investing, and I think the best investment is within yourself, because if you put knowledge into your brain, nobody can take that from you.
Nobody can take
skills. They cannot take it from you.
Exactly, unless you get dementia or Alzheimer's. But Warren Buffett says the greatest investment that you can do is yourself. Nothing provides more dividends than investing in yourself. The Bible says wisdom is more precious than gold and rubies. Like, yeah, there's nothing better than knowledge, because you're right. You either, know it and you can repeat it. And that's why, like with my son, if he learns new skills like that, I don't pay him for chores. I pay him for that. Like, I'll give him money so he can understand, like, knowledge is what's going to
make. Yeah. That's an interesting thought, because I don't think a lot of people think that way. Yeah, I would say the vast majority of people don't think that way. Obviously, it's giving incentive to learn a skill. That's a good take. I really enjoyed that insight right there.
Except college, like it's a whole different story.
Yeah, for sure. Let's talk about let's talk about the stock market, because I think it's the most interesting thing. I haven't dove into the stock market as much as I have in the past year. We're seeing things that hit all-time highs. You're seeing rate cuts now. The economy is starting to get what is it called? They're starting to pour money back into the economy. So money's going to start pouring back into it. So what do you see as far as like in the next year? Is America going to go up, or is it going to go into a recession, or what are your thoughts on that?
I don't have any thoughts. Like I said, you can make money when it's going up or down. So that's the cool thing. And even if you're not trading, for the long term, I think the greatest thing that anybody has ever said is that when there's blood on the streets, that's when you buy.
When you buy.
Yeah, that's when you start buying. And as a matter of fact, I made a TikTok or Instagram. By the way, repurpose.io is absolutely fantastic. Anyways, so uh, it was pretty much that. My mentor, Jeremy Newsom, he said that one of his close friends is a doctor, and he makes a killing off the stock market. And all this guy does is when everybody starts freaking out, he starts buying.
Hmm.
And then eventually he comes back up and he pulls everything out, and he'll just wait for another cycle like that. And that's all he does. Warren Buffett said the same thing. When people are be fearful when people are greedy, and be greedy when people are fearful. So even for the long term, when people are freaking out, start buying. So some of my friends that like getting into the stock market also, like that's all they're ever waiting for. Like, is a crash today? They're so excited for a crash because that's when you get some discount. That's like
you get it.
Like 90% off discount.
Yeah.
So, but people always have this fear. Oh, the economy's going to crash. It can, it will, it probably happen, but we're gonna survive. The worst possible one that has ever happened has been the recession in the 1920s, the Great Depression. But where are we still in the Great Depression? No.
Right.
This guy on my YouTube channel, I made a TikTok about it and investing in the stock market. He's like, well, but then there's a crash. I'm like, oh man, we still haven't recovered from the Depression, from Black Monday, from COVID, from the .com. We still haven't recovered from those, so I don't know how we'll recover from. Like, it was my sarcastic thing, like, dude, we covered all those, and it goes back to just being scared.
Fear is the main thing. How do you view being rich versus being wealthy?
Ooh, kind of the same way that I would explain Dave Ramsey's financial peace versus financial freedom.
Okay.
So the difference is that financial peace is just that. You can be rich no matter what stage of life you are. If you're middle class making 60,000, you can be rich because it just depends on how much you all the outgo, right? If you're only bringing in 60K a year, but you're only spending 30 or 20 a year, then you're rich because now you have that nice cushion that you can like multiply.
Yeah.
There's doctors that are, make 500,000 a year and they spend 500,000 a year and they're poor. So wealthy, that's when it's the financial freedom. Wealthy, it creates this general wealth where my son will be able to benefit from what I have. And it becomes more wealthy in terms of time. Like when you have time, when I can be like, you know what, this week I'm gone, even if it's a staycation, like just don't bother me. I'm not going to work for 3 weeks or a month.
Yeah, you unplug.
Nothing happens. Yeah, like you can still pay the bills. Like that's wealthy because now you just freed yourself up from time. So I think if you can free yourself up from time, that's wealthy. It's financial peace that it's just 2 weeks out of the year. So it's one of those differences.
Yeah. What do you think about that? Because I mean, I used to work from a 8 to 5 job, and then I went into business with myself, and it seems like it's exponentially harder for business owners and entrepreneurs to get up every single day and do the things that they need to do, regardless of how they feel, regardless of what's going on in their life, regardless of all the problems that they're going to have. They still have to get up, do the things that they need to do. Do you feel like sometimes it's just easier to get a 9 to 5 job, or do you think that people should jump in the world and try try entrepreneurship, try to start a business?
It's a double-edged sword, but I'll tell you what, I don't think I can ever go back to a 9 to 5. Oh my God. Like just having a manager over me, like micromanaging, because nobody knows how to be a manager or a leader. And I told my brother-in-law this because every time they're sick, I'm like, all right, never mind, we're not going over. He's kind of like, why are you scared of getting sick? And because you don't understand. If I get sick, like I still have to work.
Yeah.
It's not like I would pray to get sick because I can just call in sick to work and be like, I'm done for the day,
Yeah.
No, I have to wake up sick. I have to work sick and I have to go through it sick.
Plus, chances are the rest of your family is going to get sick.
Yeah, and then everybody's burgering around, but I truly believe that entrepreneurship is it depends on how you feel. Like if you're miserable at your job, you can do one or two things: start your own business for something that you love, or find a job that you love. But don't just stay there. Like you actually just posted this, and it reminded me of the quote: "Many men live quiet lives of desperation."
Yeah, silent desperation.
Yeah. So it's one of those things. Like, I mean, what the hell else are you gonna do? Like, there's nothing else that you can possibly do in this entire life that you have. That those little short life that you have. Like, dude, just do something that's gonna make you happy and don't be miserable. Sometimes entrepreneurship, I'm like, oh crap, oh my god, like, it does add these stresses, but you're gonna have that same stress longer
Yeah,
working for
regardless.
yeah. So, but some people love their 9 to 5. I mean,
Yeah. No. I've talked to a lot of people who would not have it any other way because it's freedom. Like at 5 o'clock, they're out. Like they don't have to.
they're done.
Done. They don't worry about it
anymore. Talking to my wife at like 8 p.m. I'm talking to her. She's talking to me, and I'm like going off like, okay, I need to do this, and I need to create these ads, and I need to. Are you listening?
Nope. Yeah, let's talk about leadership because I feel there is a massive lack of leadership and role models. Like I try to find role models. I try to find leadership people that are in leadership, to help me to mentor me, right? And it's very hard to find mentors. And I've gone as far as to recreate my mentors on ChatGPT with GPTs. And I feel weird talking about this to people because like I'm kind of like, you see me out in public and I'll shake hands, I'll talk to anybody, right? But I am kind of an introvert. Like when it comes to a lot of things, I like my quiet time. I like here in the studio, I'll work all day with no radio, just like literally focused on what I need to focus on.
Man, I'm the same way.
Yeah, it's difficult because I had to train myself to sit and check off my checklist because that is the way you progress. And I don't think a lot of people really understand that. It's like if you leave your mind by itself, like it'll start thinking of other things and it'll get you distracted.
Yeah.
Especially like social media, man. That's why I feel like there's a lack of leadership. There's a lack of role models. I recreated them on ChatGPT to teach me. What do you feel like? Is there a lack of leadership? Are there role models out there anymore for like little kids to look up to?
Honestly, everywhere I've been, people think leaders are one thing when it's a completely different thing. So I've never seen any great leaders. I mean, there's like Zig Ziglar's pretty good. What's his name? Jim Rohn. What's that other one? The big time public speaker. I forget his name. He has John Maxwell. They have these good leadership skills, and I think we just don't understand what leaders are meant to do. Leaders are not the ones that are dragging people behind them. Leaders are the ones in the back pushing people forward. And I think that's the difference because people are think leadership's like, oh, I'm gonna be your leader, like follow me this way, and you need to come this way. I think the best example would be like wolves. Wolves always have two leaders. Everybody thinks it's the alpha wolf, but the main leader is always in the back, making sure that the herd is in line. The leader in the front, all he's doing is leading the way, but the main leader is making sure everybody's going. But he's always in the back. But people think like, oh, I need to be in the front. I need to be the one that's taking the charge. A true leader lets his herd, do the charge, and he just makes sure that everybody's
in line.
Yeah. But I was going to say something to one of your points. I forgot where it was going.
About the AI leadership and mentors.
Yeah. What was it? I forgot.
That's all good. Yeah, I found that recreating my mentors is kind of a stress-free thing because I no longer have to call them.
That's what I was going to say. Well, you need to share that script with me, that prompt. But I was going to say, I think we're called ambiverts. We're the ones that we love our alone time, our secluded time, but we can thrive in a big setting. It's the ones that are like, yeah, I'll see you next Friday. And then next Friday comes around and you're like, why did my extroverted say yes to that?
Yeah, I'm guilty of that. Let's talk about the cultural attitudes here, specifically in the Rio Grande Valley. I know we've kind of touched on this before too, but like the thing with like emotional spending. I know people who are like having a shitty day and they'll say, "Oh, I'm gonna go buy something," and it'll make them feel better. Like I don't think they understand that that's temporary. Like it's not gonna kind of touch on that.
It's the dopamine. I mean, it's something new, and heck, I've been guilty of it. I don't know who hasn't. People just do it a little too much because they're always having a crappy day. But then it goes back to, why are you having a crappy day?
Yeah.
I told this to my son because I heard it on a somewhere, and it was like, you have so many hours in a day. Like, let's say you had $100 and you lose $1, you're not going to throw the $99 away just because you lost $1. Time works the same way. Just because your first couple of minutes, were crappy, why are you going to say your entire day is crappy?
Yeah.
So first, it goes back to that. Like, why are you constantly having a bad day? Why are you constantly having,
You got to do some deep self-reflection right there.
Yeah. And yeah, exactly. Wait a minute. There's something wrong way before you spend it. But spending emotionally is one of those things that you need to. It's this muscle, this willpower muscle that you need to develop. And like I said, I've been guilty of it too. Like, I'm not saying it's easy. Not everything is simple, but it's not easy.
Yeah.
So, I mean, even if you have to wait another day or stop yourself, but it's just one of those things, man. You need to.
When I find myself in that situation where I'm about to buy something, I kind of stop myself and I leave and I buy Bitcoin right then and there.
Oh, that's good.
It's worked for me. It's worked for me many times. I was like, I don't feel bad.
Throw the money at Bitcoin. You don't have it anymore. And
throw it over there, man. And it's like there's kind of like an addiction to spending like stuff, like money that people don't have. They'll like go out of their way to like find something and find a way to get it. Like that's kind of like detrimental.
Oh yeah, no, and it's going to be something a lot more deeply rooted. But I mean, I always try to spend. If I'm going to spend, I'm like, okay, how can I make money off of this one way or another?
Yeah.
And sometimes I still have a drone sitting there, and I'm like, I need somebody to need drone shots. So
yeah, it's an interesting. So what is the mind shift that somebody has to have for money and like wealth in the future? Because like I always talk about this. My grandfather's 90 years old, right? And he exercises every day. Actually, he's 95. I'm 43. So if I were to look at myself on a timeline, right, in 90s over here and zeros over here, I'm more than halfway already through my life. So I have this many years to like live purposefully. Like that, I don't think people really understand. Like, you have this amount of time to live purposefully, and then cut that in half, because at 65, you're probably want to retire, do something else, or do something with your life that's a little bit more meaningful. Because that, my dad says it all the time, like he's going to work till the day he dies, right? I don't want to work till the day I die. I want that freedom that I'm so like, when I found out about like freedom that people are living, like I want that. Like that's all I've been focused on 10 years. So I think it's important. But like, if you think about that, like I only have this amount of time left to be able to have all the things that I want to buy, all the things that I want to collect as far as and stuff like that. How do you view your time?
I was just thinking about the other day the same thing, because I'm 43 as well. So it's like, crap, like there's so much things that I want to do and still experience, that I need to do it in a way that I want. And that's why I was like, I need to find someone that's going to teach me what my dream is. And for me is becoming a paid speaker. Like, I want to, if you need me to speak in Italy, I'm there. If you need me to speak, in Japan, I'm there. So if I can get paid to speak and travel, because like I said, we were on a 2-month road trip and we fell in love with it. We were like, oh,
amazing.
Back to the valley, and we're like, everything just sucked. We're like itching to leave again. So if I can fulfill those two things, and I think that's where people need to understand, like, find out what you love doing. And I think what really kind of said for me or made the switch was, I don't know where I heard it, But people always say, like, if you had $1 million, what would you do all day? That one never worked for me until someone said, find out what you love doing and then get paid for it. Like, and the way you find out what you love doing is, what would you do your entire life, even if it was free, like you wouldn't get paid for it. And for me, that was speaking. I absolutely love speaking and traveling. And I was like, oh, wait, like there's paid speakers that make, money, and all they do is go to different. I'm like, how do I get that? How do I do that? And then I started like, okay, let me figure that out. And right now I'm in the process, because I finally quit my job like in 2017. I was an entrepreneur before then because I owned a bar. Like, I knew I wanted to be an entrepreneur, so that's what I started doing. And now it's like, okay, now I need to figure out how to make this. And a lot of people just give up. 43-year-olds that they're like, no, this is it. Like, I'm done.
Yeah, and I think like even at 50 years old is like you haven't even hit your prime. Like
yeah, you still got some umph.
Yeah, some umph is the right word. Let's talk about AI and robotics. Like, did you see the Tesla robotaxi event?
Oh man, yeah, that was awesome.
What are your thoughts about the AI robots, the Optimus?
Well, if you want Terminators, that's how you get Terminators.
For real. Like, did you hear that conversation that the guy was having with the bot?
Yeah, no, it's crazy, and it's cool because I don't know if you've seen the movie Spaceballs.
Yeah, I don't remember much of it, but I remember seeing it.
There's this one scene where the place is about to blow up, and they open the lid to stop the countdown. They open the lid, and the thing says out of order, and he's like, not even in the future, nothing works. Because they're supposed to be in the future. So I always bring that up because even at this day and age, like, things just don't work as beautifully as you want. We have all these computers and all this technology. But the reason I bring that up is because when we're younger, when we're, in high school, like having, Google on your phone, like that was unheard of. And then like when we finally did, we were like amazed. We didn't even have Google back then. Like, the feature's advancing, and it hasn't advanced fast enough, even though there's Moore's law in place. So now that we're about to finally have an iRobot or a robot and robo-taxis, like, that's everything that we've seen as little kids in 80s movies, Total Recall and iRobot. And it's finally happening I think it's cool. Like, we got to embrace it. Like, it's going to happen. Whether you like it or not, it's going to happen. AI is already happening, and you embrace it, you work with it, and you develop with it. Like, you have no other option. It's happening. Like, people didn't want Facebook happening, and here we are. Like, everybody's always scared, and I think the best way I can put it is that people are always scared of the next thing. I don't know why. People were scared of credit cards. People were scared of the internet. People were scared of, cell phones. But now it's our daily life.
Normal, yeah.
Then it's just happening again. Like, go with it. Either go with it or be run over by it.
Yeah, because if you don't adapt, like, you're gonna get left behind, and you see that with like the older demographic, like where older demographic has a hard time with technology because they simply do not understand it, they don't get it, and they feel like it's hard. I'm sorry.
They don't try. I used to work at a DME company with this older gentleman. He was at the time, I think he was like 55. He was a lot older than me. He's probably like he was 65 by now. But what I admired about him is that if something new came up, new technology, like, he was like trying to figure it out. Yeah. And sometimes he'd show me like, how to work something, because he would that's all he would focus on. Like, he knew it's going to happen. So, but then you have like your parents that, or my parents, not yours. Our parents are like, no, like, we're told we can't learn anything new, and it stops people, And
I feel like also that if you don't use your brain or your thoughts or your skills into your older life, like always learning, because I feel like we do have a unlimited capacity to learn. What we keep in there is kind of a different thing, right? But I feel if you're not always learning, that's kind of where you start to forget things. You start to get dementia. Like, you're not using it as much as you need to use it to sharpen the tool.
Oh my God.
What do you think?
Ooh, man. So this is very important statistic that I found out and I was blown away. When old people go into an old folks home, the average lifespan in an old home or a nursery is 8 months.
Wow.
You believe that? Like that's insane. And the only thing that I can really think of why is that's it. They retire, they go into old folks homes, then what do? They're not doing anything. Like everything's taken care of for them, everything's been done, like they're not improving. Tony Robbins says when progress dies, you start dying. And then Tom Petty says if you slow down, never slow down, you never grow old. Warren Buffett is like 90 some, and he's a voracious reader. Like he's reading. The guy's a billionaire, and he reads 8 hours a day. Mark Zuckerberg reads every 8 hours a day. Elon Musk says he is a voracious reader. Like it's this constant pursuit of knowledge and this progression and trying to be better than the person you were yesterday. That's what brings life. As soon as we stop learning, as soon as we stop, like our body starts decaying.
Even on the physical side too, because you sit down on your couch all day long, like your body starts to deteriorate. You start to sink in a little bit more, and then your muscles don't work. So you literally have to. And this is what I found, that the truth. And through my health journey and my business journey is like you literally have to get up and fight every single day for your life, because for one, nobody's going to do it for you. Two, nobody even cares. Like at the end of the day, like it's kind of on you to be able to trudge forward, to get up regardless of how you feel. And this brings me to my last question. As far as advancements in AI and robotics, like I'm hearing statistics that we'll be able to live up to the age of 200, 300 years old. Would you want to live that long?
Oh, I mean, I'm already planning to live forever. So far, so good.
Well, you look good for a 43-year-old.
I don't have as much hair as you. You have some awesome hair for 43.
Well, man, it's
weird. And you got it all.
I have found that the key to the foundation of youth is found in diet and exercise. Like if I had never started exercising when I turned 40, I probably would have had diabetes already. I would have had a lot of health issues. But I did find that getting up every single day and working on something about myself has really helped me reverse the age process, but also helped my brain stay focused and laser sharp.
That's awesome.
It's hard, man. It's hard.
That's what I usually tell my little one, that because I'm trying to create him as an entrepreneur. So here he is with this crazy.
What's up, man? How's it going? What's up, dude? Congratulations on your book, man.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Get out of here. He's sick. So, that's what I try to tell him. Like, we're trying to raise him as an entrepreneur. That's why he's homeschooled. So the whole thing is like, you need to have this, like, I guess, need or this grind or this like want to just be a student, just learn and be a sponge to everything you can, like learn. Because if he can get used to always like, oh, I need to learn something, like be smarter than the one person you were yesterday, or learn something 1% every day, like just have that capacity and that desire to learn every single day. Like you got it made. Like
you'll far outpace the people that are lazy, and there's a lot of lazy people in the world.
Well, see, here's the crazy thing. I know this one person that he was such a voracious reader, and he knew so much, but he never did anything with it. Like he would sit on the couch and he would just read. He would read how to do all sorts of things, learn a bunch of stuff, but then he never did anything with it. Like only applied knowledge is what is gonna, make you move forward. Because if you gather all this information, you don't do anything with it, then you're just gonna wither away, just like the person just watching TV all day.
Yeah.
So putting those ideas and those thoughts and the knowledge to action, that's what really drives everything forward.
Yeah, the implementation is what I had to figure out real fast, because I was learning all these things. I was like, it's not doing anything. Like the money's not going up because I'm learning this stuff. It's literally
you actually have to go in there.
Yes, you actually have to do the work, people. Like that.
Yeah.
how it works, man.
Even Bruce Lee has a quote that says, "Knowledge must be applied."
Yeah, it's an interesting world we live in. I think, thanks to you, like being a good father and teaching your son young, that's a courageous thing to do, because I feel like a lot of people are selfish. A lot of parents are selfish. A lot of people don't know how to parent, for one. A lot of people think that their kids, are their friends, but in actuality, you're trying to guide them to be better humans and produce something in the world that's good. Because
Bring
there's
value to the world. Yeah.
create value in the world, because there's a lot of crappy people out there. So I commend you for that, man. Being a great father.
I'm trying, man. I'm pretty sure
we all are, bro.
Good stuff.
Yeah. Let everybody know where they can find you on social media.
Pretty much everything is Rich with Rich. So if you go to richwithrich.com, all my little links are at the bottom. Or richgnz.com, but Rich with Rich is easy to remember.
I think I put it here on the comments section. But Rich, I appreciate your time, my friend. It's great to talk to you, and I appreciate all the insight you gave us today, man.
Yeah, man, absolutely. Thank you for having me. Always a pleasure. Can't wait for the next one.
Yes, I'll see y'all soon. Bye.
Cheers.